hard work means that you attend all the classes, which is obvious for a lot of people. You do all the assignments, you do your cuts, you focus on what's important in terms of building blocks to make you successful. For example, entrepreneurship, when I started selling t-shirts.
Part 1. It's not just swag, guys. It's not just swag. What I'm wearing is what a lot of people call the future, but what I call the present. One of the reasons why I'm super excited to have our guests today is because when we get to the place where we're going to be having a tech conversation, I want you guys to understand the kind of tech that is infiltrating the world today. I've been having conversations about VR, augmented reality, AI, and how it's impacting the world. Currently, what I'm wearing are not just glasses. This is a camera. This is, I can answer my phone with this. This is the next level of tech. This Ray-Ban Meta glasses are not just glasses. There's much more that goes into this piece of technology. And therefore, as the story progresses, you're going to hear about tech. That's why you see we've also got this Meta Quest 3. When I shot DJ Krober's CTA, I showed the Meta Quest 1. And one of the things that I said is that it's going to get smaller and cheaper, and it has. Anyway, this gear, for those who may want it, is available via CTA. So just contact the number in the screens, and we'll definitely be getting it to you. But more important than even getting it to you is keep listening to the conversation, because when we get to the point where we're having the conversation about tech, it will blow your mind, the advancements that have happened in tech and that are available for us to use today, not tomorrow. But right now in the story, Alex,
yes,
I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Yes.
We are at your joining campus.
Yes. Let's start with Mama Tony first. Big shout out to Mama Tony for opening her home to me and also teaching me the life lessons along the way. It means a lot. It really, really means a lot. Along the way, you find people who teach you different things with a different voice, which helps a lot in terms of just shaping who you become eventually. In between that, I also have my Auntie Susan, who went to campus way back in the day, whisper into my ear and let me know that I'm going towards the right direction. So again, you find champions. Auntie Susan is a sister to my dad. She was in campus way back in the day. So at least she understands what to expect and if I'm going towards the right direction. So second person in the family going to campus.
Nice.
Yes.
Was there anybody who was pulling you in a different direction? So is there any people, and I'm not saying you don't have to mention their names, but I'm just trying to wonder, in this ecosystem that you are in, were there people who could have led you astray?
Como was different. You know, there were young people who were doing different things. You know, so it could easily have resulted in something else. There was a matatu culture that was really prevalent at that point. People would go out, Vibestar in Thika. Those of us from that generation remember that. So there was a little bit of a pull into a different direction. But, you know, I stayed the course. I think campus and Mama Tony and the prayers that she was providing really helps. Okay. She was very strict in her house.
Yes.
So
rules and regulations.
Yes, rules and regulations, yes. So it helped a lot. Okay,
so you go to campus. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
What year?
Best 5 years of my life.
5?
I say, there's a story to that. There's a story to that.
Okay, what year do you join
So
campus?
96, that's when I joined.
Okay.
Fresh out, you know, I'm going in. Now I'm reinventing myself. Pacherian, you know, how do I show up in the new environment? You gotta show up proper. So first and foremost, you had to wait 2 years before you get into campus? Yes. Wow. Yes. Okay. So I think there was something that changed, maybe the shift from 844, the old system into 844, that resulted in people waiting for about a year and a half for the most part. And also one of the people who I had on this seat, Mary Wamai. Yes. Wangari, she talked about the strikes. Yes. And how the strikes therefore led to. Yes. Yeah. Into even staying there a little bit longer. And then, you know, at some point, they were like, hey, we have 2 classes that are starting at the same time. So I think they pushed 1 year back. Okay. They've done a better job now. But back then, it took about a year and a half. A lot of people got lost along the way.
Wow.
So you'd all graduate high school and you're like, what happened to this guy? He's not coming.
Wow.
Yes. So come in campus.
96.
Yes, cool kids. So me and Floyd and a buddy of mine called Floyd Mashemo, shout out, and Bernard Muteti. Both of them still live here. Muteti was Airtel marketing somewhere in West Africa, marketing director. Now he's Safaricom, I believe. So we walk in, cool kids. I'd been called for agriculture engineering. So being called for agriculture engineering meant there was a little bit of a commute from main campus into Kabete-Ngombe.
Yeah. That's the 1 year patch.
Yes, that's a 1 year patch, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, I opted into the cooler crowd, which was BA. So Floyd was BA at that point. So I was like, hey, let me gravitate towards this, plus they had better chicks. So kidogo, I start skipping my classes on that side because I'm transferring to the BA side of things. I didn't catch up on time. And Floyd also didn't catch up on time. So we ended up repeating first year.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, which was the most important lesson we ever learned. Is because at that point, I think one of my wife's friend was like, what are you doing with a fresher? And she stacked the course. She was like, I'm hanging out with him because he's a cool person, he's a good person, he's a good human being. So at that point, that's when you begin to see, again, people looking down on you because you're not doing something as good as they were.
Wow.
It was rough. It was really, really rough.
So you met your wife in campus?
Yes.
This is the first time I'm hearing you talk about your wife.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to this first year.
Yes.
So you joined campus, you're supposed to be in Kabete-Ngombe.
Yes. I'm supposed to do the commute from Maine to Kabete-Ngombe. But the first couple of years of, the first year of engineering is really tough. You're doing bridging courses for biology, chemistry, physics, tough. You're in a class of 200 people. You're sitting all the way at the back and you can't hear anything. The guy is writing things on the board, you're like, what is he writing up there? So it became really difficult for me to do agriculture engineering because I was like, oh, well, I don't think this is my call. Then what do you end up becoming? An agricultural officer, yes. A farm manager, yes. I think the use case was becoming Lord Delamere's, you know, engineering something. Yeah. Head of engineering for Lord Delamere, big farms. I was like, that's not cool.
And you had tested this life of computers.
Yes, I tested the life, and I knew some people were making a lot of money with that. So I was like, hey, let me go in and do something a little bit neutral. I can also be able to start doing some accounting stuff where I can be able to combine my IT as well as my accounting. Wow. Make something out of that. Okay. Yes. So. And
where you're staying in campus?
Yes, staying in campus. It's right opposite State House Road. Well, on State House Road, right opposite YMCA. Best 5 years of my life. I had a really nice cube.
Alone?
At one point alone, yes. Okay. I had a TV, I had a carpet, I had the lights were all automatic. I had a fridge, I had everything. Video game.
Who's paying your school fees? Is it the government? Is it HELB?
So the HELB pays half of it, and then I pay half of it. Okay. But I'm also very entrepreneurial. So I sold T-shirts on campus. Wow. Yes. And I sold mini packs. So I'd go in Yamakema, buy mini packs for like 5 shillings, come sell them for 10 shillings. Yeah. So very enterprising as well on campus. That's what funded the extra lavish lifestyle. So
question, was there a boom? Was the government at this time giving you a stipend?
Yes. So we would get a stipend. You probably get, depending with the need, you probably get maybe 20,000. Let's say 21,000.
For real?
Yes, and 21,000 would be sent to the school to be able to pay for your school. The 8,000, the 21,000 that you get, you'd have to apportion it for your school in terms of the 8,000 that you needed to pay on campus then, and then for your housing as well as the food and the living expenses.
So they'd send that 21,000 to your account?
Yes.
Then you're okay. Then the school fees that you need to pay, 8,000 per semester?
Yes.
Wow.
It was actually very organized.
You know, I've had people from the older generation, Martha Karuas, speak about boom, and I understand it from that time. You're talking about 96.
Yes.
Gen Zs have been born.
Yes,
have been born. So this is not too far back.
Yes, yes. It was actually very organized. So they had introduced Boom, I think, a couple of years before. So they would give you a cash stipend, and they would also deposit a certain amount of money that went to the school directly.
Yes.
So you knew half of your fees was paid.
Wow.
For school.
Okay.
So the rest of it you paid, and you also paid your living expenses.
So did your folks pay, or was it up to you now?
So they paid.
Oh, it was the parents who paid this thing?
Yeah. They paid a piece of it because the Boom that I got wasn't as big.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was a variation from 42 to like 7. I think I got the lower end.
Okay. Oh,
yes.
okay. I understand.
Yes. So based on that, you'd buy a big boom box. That's why it's called Boom. Yes, yes. I lived well. I lived well on campus. But after rewinding, that's when I had to find myself as well.
Okay.
I had to define myself and just say, hey, what do we stand for? And let's just focus on the most important thing, which is our bread and butter, schoolwork first.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you define yourself at that time?
School had to come first.
And what did that mean? Give me
yes.
School. You wake up, attend all classes,
yes.
pass all classes.
Attend all classes, do all the cards, make sure you have all the notes for everything. Do your test really well, consistently. Study hard. And then choose rightly. I think the first year I'd chosen econ, sociology, and math. That wasn't my call to do math, so I'd chosen the wrong thing. So I ended up doing econ, sociology, and linguistics, which was really good. I specialized eventually with econ and sociology.
Yeah, yes. But I always think about people who are in this is the stage where you find yourself.
Yes.
And experimenting and actually doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Is okay, because it should just tell you, no, this is not for you.
Yes.
How do you, in an essence, find yourself at this stage? In retrospect, when we speak, we'll be like, you can look at the dots and be like, that's why I didn't pick that. But at that time, how do you find yourself?
So there was a guy called Apamo. Anyone who went to main campus around the same time will know who it was. So you'd go into a room and he'd read for you your grades. It would be like Gacheche, Alex, and you'd go A, maybe whatever the grade was. Then he would say, you cannot go to the next grade because of this and this. So I'd already missed maybe a test or two in first year, so I couldn't go to the next grade. You either had to do a cut and wait for like 2 years. So everyone feared going back to him because the way he made you feel like a failure. And he would also advise you at the same time, you're wasting your parents' money. You need to focus on the most important thing. Again, finding yourself was calling yourself for that self-meeting. Yes. And just saying, how do I need to make sure at least this never happens again? Yes.
Did you want to not, was a driving force not to disappoint your parents? Or at this time, it's not even your parents?
My parents don't even know at that point. They found out maybe third year. Because my cousin came into to college and was like, I think Alex was supposed to have graduated by now. So he outed me out, and I was like, man. And my dad was pissed off. At that point, it was, a little late, because I'd already found myself and found the focus that I needed to have.
How do you find that focus? This is what I'm trying to do with your story.
Yes.
By the time somebody is, you've not always had, your articulation can make it sound like you've understood this life path even then.
Yes.
But by the time you are rewinding a whole year, it means you made some mistakes.
Yes. So you find yourself, first of all, there's resiliency. There's resiliency I learned from Sawasawa. The resiliency that I learned through Patch allowed me to make a mistake and still recover from it. I knew this wasn't the end of it. And if I went to a different path, said, hey, let me drop out and do nothing, I'd go back to Embu. And that struggle.
I get it.
So the worst case scenario pushed me to doing more of what I needed to do.
You're running away from poverty.
Yes, running away from poverty again. It's like, I don't want to be that guy.
Had you seen guys in Embu that you knew before and you were like...
Yes, I'd seen my brother. My brother was good. He was doing good. Then he went back to Embu. He connected with the wrong people. And up to this day, he struggled.
Wow.
And we are there to encourage him along the way. So I'd seen that story play over and over again many, many different times.
Oh, that is...
So it's almost your gateway is going to be this thing that you do. If you don't make it from that, there's no recourse. Recourse is you can't go back to Koma, to Auntie Tony, Mama Tony, then you go back into Embu to helping your mom open the shop at 7 o'clock in the morning and close at 7 or 8 o'clock every single day. And maybe sometimes make nothing.
Wow.
So I knew that was the worst case scenario. But I'd also seen other people who had made it. So I said, I got to do something about this. And then we also encouraged each other with my buddies. Yes.
So that means even the surrounding of people who you put the people who you surround yourself with.
Yes, the cool kids we hung out with, that we were all rewound with, we all encouraged each other. We said, hey, we are Pacherians. We can't just let people make fun of us. We got to strap up and do better than this. Because now it was a big sim. So people who were behind us, in Patch, there's a whole thing about someone behind is a rebel.
Yes.
So they were now our classmates. Now we're joining their class, and we're like, okay, well, how do you define yourself? And they're like, okay, it is what it is.
Wow.
Yes.
That was your first instance of quote-unquote failure.
Yes. There's also a lot of shame associated with it.
Yes.
So running away from poverty and shame.
Shame was a good motivator.
Oh, shame. Oh, I still remember this guy. It's like, I still remember he came over to my place about a weekend ago. And I remember them making fun of us, saying, I want to vanga makoti, because we would dress up nicely, walk around like we're cool, but we hadn't made anything ourselves.
Wow.
So the shame and just that being pushed down was really tough on us.
That's so...
Good thing my wife stood by me.
So
yes.
let's introduce this love of your life.
Yes.
At that time, so you meet her in campus?
So I meet her in campus. We were together before I rewound. So when I got the news about rewinding, I called her first. I'm like, this is really devastating.
So you met her in first year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Then next year, when I got the news, I was like, this is really tough. I need your support. So she comes to campus. I think we had closed at that point, and she hangs out with me for like a week, causing a lot of trouble at home because she was home already. She hadn't come back. But, she supported me all the way through. So she reminded me all the time what my goal has always been.
Wow.
You remember the time you rewound? You remember how tough that was? And we sailed through. So there's no obstacle that's big enough. I think that's the most important thing about having that person you believe in and believes in you and your storyline.
What does hard work look like? I've heard this is a word it sounds like you're going to use throughout your story.
Yes.
Hard work. So at this time in life, what does hard work look like? What does it look like?
Hard work means that you attend all the classes, which is obvious for a lot of people. You do all the assignments, you do your cuts, you focus on what's important in terms of building blocks to make you successful. For example, entrepreneurship, when I started selling t-shirts, when I started connecting intentionally with as many people as possible on campus. That's what hard work. So hard work is defined by the environment that you're in at a point in time. Yes. Hard work can be mtu mjengo, putting those rocks, those whatever. That could be hard work. But sometimes hard work is also making sure that you're intentional in what is the winning formula in that environment. Yes.
How did that, let's talk about that. That's your first taste of making money.
Yes.
And of almost independence.
Yes.
Selling these t-shirts.
Yes.
What did it look like? Where did you get?
Yes. So actually...
And why t-shirts?
There's a guy called Arigi at that point who was very popular at that point, and he was selling t-shirts. And he seemed independent. So I was like, I want to do like what Arigi is doing. When he graduated, he left it for someone else to work on it. So I became a broker. I was the go-to guy. Hey, do you want t-shirts? I would take all these orders and take to this guy. He was doing engineering at that point.
And what are these t-shirts? How do they look?
Is this University of Nairobi? The best of the best. North of Limpopo, whatever, south of the Sahara. Okay. It was kind of like colorful, and they had your name on the side.
Okay.
Yeah. So this guy, engineering guy, he says, hey, I might not have the time to take you to the factory, but I'll show you where the factory is. Then you can pick for me and then sell them, because you can be able to do this. Oh, went there, connected with the guy. Kidogo, I lived in Meru. This guy speaks my language. I'm like, hey, right there, that's a thing.
Yes.
We were able to connect, and somehow the engineering guy stepped aside. So now I was doing business with this guy. which was really interesting. So I learned that if you make a T-shirt, let's say you buy a normal T-shirt, you're going to buy it at 100. That back then, you'd buy it at 150, and then you print it for like 60 or 70, depending on the print screen, and then sell it for like 300. But if you buy a T-shirt that's not 100%, it has like a hole somewhere,
yes,
or like a stitch somewhere, you know, you're going to make a big margin.
Yep.
So a lot of what I was doing is going to India to pick up those T-shirts.
The rejects.
Yes, the rejects. Then bring them, and then have them printed by my Vaita friend, then take them to campus. That was good. I made a lot of money.
Yes.
Yes. And part of it was also connecting with people. Hey, unataka T-shirt? Hey, nani anauza T-shirt? Mimi nauza T-shirt. You know, there was no shame in the game. Yeah.
And it meant you connected with... Now, this is the biggest melting pot that you've been in.
Yes.
Forget even Patch. Nairobi Uni had everybody, all different classes, all different levels of people.
Yes.
Working, some not working.
Yes.
First years, all over the country.
Yes. In main campus, that's when I also started selling mini packs. So when I would go to River Oduko, in Makema, I found some guy who was selling mini packs.
Safarican.
It was kind of like Safarican, yes. I was also introduced by a guy who lived in Embu. He said, hey, there's this mini packs I sell in Kikuyu.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, okay, well, let me do it. And I put posters all over campus. People would come in, buy the mini packs. There was a T-shirt Pia. You know, but they would come in and see how I'm living. They were like, oh, this guy is living well. Yeah. It's like, oh, no, there was a T-shirt. You know, I would broker as many things as possible.
And how didn't you get high on your own supply?
I'm not a drinker.
Oh, you are?
Typically, I'm not a drinker.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't...
You don't consume your own product.
I don't consume my own product. I just don't find fun in that world.
Okay, that's a big thing to say. I've interviewed a guy here called Eric Mutiso. Eric Mutiso, powerful CTA. In fact, strongly suggested to watch it out. He was in addiction and got out of that. At that age group, I mean, you're selling it to people because that's the kind of the party life. And you're talking about the cool kids. This is what the cool kids do.
Yes. So we were defining ourselves for cool with how we dressed and the type of girls we talked to. That was the definition for us who were in Patch. So it wasn't cool kids that, you know, will get drunk. There was something called solid. It's basically changa. So there were people who would kind of like, you don't want to be a solid crowd, part of a solid crowd. You want to kind of like, you know, maintain the demeanor of a Pacherian. Wow. Yes. So, yes. So campus, I also learned to look for opportunities that campus had been presented with. I'll give you an example. So at one point, there was an exchange program between UCLA, University of Dar es Salaam, University of Nairobi, and Makerere University.